And what is up, guys? In today's video, I would like to share with you guys some of my experiences in life and small parts of my journey. I would like to take things differently from now on in my video voice casting podcast. I would like to take some creative work along the way. So yeah, I hope you guys are excited about it. Grab a coffee and snack, sit down and enjoy one of my humble tales. Let's go. And so it begins, by the age of 14. I am not gonna further explain or tell you guys about my normal childhood because it is pretty much normal. I can't say a lot of things about it other than my teenage years, because I could not come up with any story from my childhood past. It was mostly happening, a lot of things happened after the age of 13. So basically before the age of 13, I don't have much of a story to tell you guys about my childhood. So yeah, pretty much a lot of things happened during my age of teenage years. So yeah, I'm just gonna start at that. At the age of 14, there I was at a bookstore as usual. I was an avid reader, so naturally, yours truly will find himself drawn to his natural habitat, looking for something to read. A typical favorite of mine was a fictional genre, typically setting in the fantasy storyline, such as the classic Harry Potter series, the R. Tolkien series, The Hobbit, and Lord of the Rings. But then, something caught my eye. There it was, an informational book about one's own financial security and literacy towards the monetary gain. In simple words, it's a book about self-help. And definitely, it is a help to me in terms of my financial situation. Yes, so you would ask yourselves, what does a 14-year-old was doing caring about financial knowledge? Well, I am not like many people. At the age of 14, I have already think 10 years ahead of my time what I'm gonna be and what I'm planning for the future. Even though some people might say that I am rather childish on the exterior, but on the interior, by mentally, I have to say that I am much mature than most of the adults nowadays. So I have to say that, yeah, during the age of 14, I might not be the most mature by people's standards in terms of exterior, my attitude, but my mental thinking, I couldn't say it out loud to other people because they might think that I am quite weird. Well, I would say so myself because I've kept it to myself. I didn't say anything to other people about me that much. Yeah, so back to the book that I was referring to, the book that I am trying to search. Can you guys guess which is the famous book that I am referring to in terms of financial help during that time? I think it was the year of 2007. It was the year 2007. At that time, it was the booming self-help era of self-help books. There's a lot of it, you know. Yeah, you could have guessed what kind of book already. It's okay, I'll give you the answer. It's none other than Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I know, it's too cliche of a discovery, but what I'm telling you, it is the wholehearted truth, nothing else, guys. I could go on and on explaining the details of the book to you, but you would be bored senseless by my ramblings. Instead, I would just inform you that I've already read it, and that I was astonished to find out that there are so many ways a person could do to earn their keep. You know, there's a lot of ways for you guys to make money in this world. And not many people are quite fortunate during their teenage years to know that. And I don't know why, but I think it was partially due to my natural instinct to, prepare myself for the adult years to come, my adult years to come. I can tell you guys that I'm pretty excited for my future, and I want to do my best to maintain and sustain my future. However, one should take note that knowledge is not enough to sustain oneself, even in the most harshest of monetary conditions. We could also need massive courage, empathy, and the drive to keep on pushing, despite all major or minor setbacks along the way. Needless to say, that was the most overwhelming experience for me as a 14-year-old, where I am stuck at a time when YouTube was just born and saw an uprising of contents. Even though I am starting to have a whole new major outlook on life during this age, the people around me were completely oblivious to the whole new me that had been awakened. I think this is because it is my own predicament or fate that I had set upon myself to kept my ventures a personal journey and not to be shared with anyone ever. I do this not because that I am so stingy or want to keep it all to myself, but it's because I already knew that what would happen if I share it with the whole circle of mine. Mind you, teens around during that age at a particular time haven't had the slightest clue what you would say or even fathom to understand it. What I meant is, at the age, in the teenage years, most of us really don't care about taking care of our financial goals during that time. I think it was this 2000 era, not many kids really want to have a side income. Not many teenage girls and guys want to even equip themselves with the knowledge of taking care of their financial gains. No, not many people are really awakened by that sort of reality that would fall in their later years, in their adult years. I think it is because I am wary of this. I already think what would happen in 10 years to come. There might be a natural disaster and our economy is going to be affected by it. Or maybe you have a sickness like we have right now, COVID-19, a plague, a pandemic. You're obviously never going to know what's going to happen in the future, but you also have to be prepared for your own future. And so it is my own conscious decision that I will just keep it to myself, because nobody likes people who knows too much or acts as he or she knows everything, even though it is an ugly truth.
The universe is basically an animal. It grazes on the ordinary, creates infinite idiots just to eat them. Smart people get a chance to climb on top, take reality for a ride, but it'll never stop trying to throw you, and eventually it will.
Adding to that, I guess you could say that I was at that time a whole different person than I was now, because me at 14 are a very average kid. Like, could say that I am quite a fat kid, even with a lot of insecurities. I have a lot of insecurities during that time. I have a lot of anxiety. Don't get it wrong, the entrepreneur spirit was there, but the body was feeble and weak. Like, you guys could say that time I was as though like a some sort of a koi fish level, like really feeble and weak creature. not able to take care of oneself. Finishing the whole year age of 14 and 15. So it is between these years that I learn and hatching up plans to make my goals for the future and to make my future a reality. I think during this time everybody was obsessing over the new PC tech over and over during that time, and I think that during the year of 2007 and 8 was a booming cyber cafe business. This was literally my teenage years. Everybody was at the cyber cafe doing a lot of their shit to done, they're playing games and surfing the net. That was the teenage years that I am faced with. So I think to myself what it would be like after 10 years or 20 years ahead of time. Like I said earlier, the tech would still be here and ever growing. So I would not have to worry at all about any FOMO, fear of missing out. Because the truth of the matter is, no one ever really missing out on life. It's all about one's perspective. Mind you guys, I was 15 when I started thinking about this whole philosophical shit. But I never really I guess you could say I never really talked about it to anyone. It was just really to myself, because I know if I were to talk about these kinds of stuff with my friends, they would think that I am weird. And maybe they would say that I am too worried about my future, that I was too cautious, too anxious, or too fearful to even face the future. I'm thinking here to myself like, hey, I am afraid. And I'm thinking to myself at the age of 15 that it is okay to get scared for the future, because you want to, obviously, logically, you want to be prepared for it. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. About the whole entrepreneur spirit during that time. It was all really to myself. I owe myself, my old self, for this. Spanning between the age of 15 and 16, I started to become obsessed with flipping items here and there. Back then, it was all about the craze of comic books, toys, and anime series related merchandise. I would keep and save my school allowance money just to buy these stuffs and merchandise, because I want to use it for a few days or weeks. And then I resell them to my peeps at a higher price as the notoriety of the item increases over time. Of course, some of them does not last long and didn't live up to the hype. But I can proudly say the ones that are making dough for me really outweighs the ones that don't. I guess you guys could say that I like to, in simple words, sell an item that I already bought, but if that item has its own value, I can resell them at a higher price. It was mostly about the items that have a collectible value. These are the ones that I am targeting. I will use for a few days, and then I resell them. I resell it back at a adequate higher price. And so, over the course of years, when I turned 17, I was already in a very picture bright world where I am completely jacked. Yeah, you guys heard that right. I was completely jacked, as I have shed the fatty weight, all those fat weights along the years. It was a momentous change for me. You guys could say that it was the prime time of mine. A Fikri's own prime time. The overall confidence spiked, and with this newfound powers inspired me to keep pushing on even further. At the age that is ripe, the ripe age of jackness, between 16 and 17-year-old, I started collecting recycle-worthy junks, recycle items, to be sold to the landfill carriers, or as you could say, landfill guardians, as they are responsible to collect these recycle items, and they're even willing to pay a substantial amount of money to whoever brings the items. And it's just so that your boy right here is a very adamant collector of that. I was really filled with this a very high spirit that fueled me to keep doing this, even though that most of my peers at that time was saying that this is unnecessary, and I could have found a way to make a smart earn money. But I already thought to myself during that time, that was the most sensible thing that I know that I could do. I just stick with whatever that I can do, which is to send these recycle items, these recycle worthy chunks. I can't really do much of other things than that during that age, because I was also focusing on my academics, so I wouldn't want anything to have an effect to my education. Yeah, you guys could say that I am a business-oriented teenager during that time, but I am also trying to maintain the balance between life and business. So my wealth grew exponentially over the years, and it was then I started learning all about trading. Not much as it is a very basic knowledge, like a very on the surface level. It's not in too deep. So it was really after the age of 17 that I started to read Time magazine that one of my family members shared with me. But you could say that during that time I wasn't quite fond of getting deeper into the investment or financial matters world just yet. I was just learning really just the basics and getting to be used to the basic stuffs revolving around this investment techniques, investment knowledge. I want to focus on trying to make a business out of myself. After school's over, I started to think ahead of time on how to make much more profitable gains when I am in an educational institution or college, right at the age between 18 years old until 23 years old. Then I had a bright idea of working part-time, but calculating that it would be sacrificing, it was not worth it. I then started YouTube at the age of 18. After consuming much of the other OG YouTubers' content, such as Nigahiga, KevJumba, PewDiePie, and also not to mention famous Malaysian YouTubers such as Aiman Azlan, Faradi Abel, Mat Luffy, and so on that I've shown you guys here. It was all with a group of people I came to care about, and then it basically been a successful launch. We started doing gameplay videos, comedy skits, and even compilations of funny short videos. And that was it. And that was it. It was not all about... We don't really even think that YouTube would eventually become a corporation and start giving out people's money. It was all about me starting YouTube as a creative output, a creative outlet for me, that I can express my creativity. I cannot express my own creativity in other ways other than video editing is what I'm good at. But, and I have to stress this out, that in no way that I am gaining more money at YouTube than pure hustle out of my own blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. People always ask me, how can you still manage YouTube and studying time in the college, all while having a blast at social events and even campus events? How do I do it? And to be honest, it's all about proper timing. Proper timing management is all of the essence you need to balance out pretty much anything in your life. Not to mention patience as well. I couldn't share with you guys what exactly that I've done to make that much dough at college other than YouTube. But I can say that it was all tied to the aspects of YouTubing. I basically solve most of my clients' problems using my certain knowledge, skills, and abilities. These certain skill sets that I've gained all over, that I know what to do to solve their problems. So it's pretty much about they need me to get some things done, and I charge the service that I provided for them. That was it. No spoilers, bruffs. I will not tell you guys what I actually do, because everything that people do in life is different than others. You can't compare yourself, let's say you and Michael Schumacher. Between you and Michael Schumacher are good at racing, and you are not. You can do other things. So don't compare yourself with others, because there are so much things that you can do in this world to up your status. It doesn't have to be copy or to copy other people. It wouldn't give you satisfaction, and one more thing, it wouldn't give you any value, because let's face it, you wouldn't know how much you've gotten far by copying others. You know, just because someone does differently doesn't mean that you have to follow them 100%. You know, like everything that I've done before in my teenage years, since the age of 14, was all from inside my mind. Even I don't know the success rate of it, but I just kept going. I just kept doing it over and over and over. It was just like a constant repetition of such things, such businesses that I do. I kept doing it, even though I never really knew if it would be successful as it is until now. But I kept at it. I kept going. Yes, there's going to be a major setback. There's absolutely gonna be a bad luck days. There's absolutely gonna be a hard days where you are not earning at all, and you will absolutely have those kind of hard days where you felt like you are going to give up, or you might just as well give up. But no, bros. Nah, bros. You gotta keep going. You keep going at it, and eventually you kept doing it, repeat it all over again, and you know, inshallah, you will succeed. College's over, and so does a lot of free time. The deteriorated, and I was delved into the working world where it is absolutely uncomfortable and challenging, all while trying to keep up with the latest new age contents. As always, as we all know, that there's always gonna be a new thing. There's always gonna be a new fad. There's always gonna be new items. It was then that I started to having burnouts from YouTube because of this overwhelming experience. You gotta have to keep up with the latest trend, you gotta keep up with the newest fad, you gotta do ridiculous amounts of challenge that sometimes some of these challenge makes no sense. I just simply could not keep up with the content making, all while juggling with the workloads that I am having. As of that moment of time, I already had 5 YouTube channels under my control, with only one being public, the one that I'm posting for right now, and the other 4 are my best anonymous channels. I took a break of 1 to 2 years from this public channel and the other 2 private ones, but I still maintaining the momentum for the 2 private channels left. Ripe at the age of 24 until this present moment, until today, I am still progressing throughout life. But do not worry about me, because whatever happens, know that I am fine and able to cope with these loads. I am basically have so much in my hand, many of things, many of contingency plans, should any possibilities of something might gone wrong occurs. As y'all can see, I'm back to handle this public channel, and I think I can get a hand of it now. So that makes 3 channels that I'm continuing to contribute and making content of. I don't know the future of the other 2 channels though, from out of the 5, but the other 2 are basically just stagnant content, and it does bring me surprisingly an adequate amount of ROI, return of investments, periodically, although never always. And that, my dudes, is how I started to hustle from the age of 14 and still hustling until today. I don't know, maybe hustling has always been a big part of my life. I just felt that it serves me as a purpose and makes me feel whole as a person. I really felt wholesome from the whole hustling culture. Well, not much of it, but I am trying to keep up. I've always loved doing what I do at YouTube here, even though I did not gain much notoriety on my public channel as much as I gained 10 times of it on the other 2 anonymous channels that I am handling. But I am glad that I am able to do and keep up with these public channels as well as the other 2 anonymous channels. And don't you guys go worry, because I am still going to continue post videos from now on in the public channel. I will not miss out on it. I hope you guys can gain something from that story time of mine. I always had wanted to make this kind of video where I took a break from serious editing and vlogging to express my creativity. You know, this is as a way to vent out most of my emotional system. It's a story that perhaps might give some hope to small YouTubers out there who were just starting to venture out in YouTube, who were just starting to built something, or maybe, I don't know, a career out of YouTube. I just wish all of you out there best of luck, and may good fortunes come your way, because I do YouTube just for fun. But in the end, if it serves me as a payment, I guess it was just as a bonus, you know. I really haven't had much thought about it, because all of my life it had always been a pure hustle that brings me a lot of returns than YouTube. You know, I never had a sustained or constant payment from this site, but I must admit it is quite a luxury, and not many people can have this kind of experience. So that I am grateful for everything that happens along the journeys of my life. So yeah, that's it, guys. Have a great day. Take care.
Inshallah.
And
Salam alaikum.